Welcome to Jets Talk. My name's Ryan. I'll be your pilot. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you've been here before, welcome back. I love having you here. Boys and girls, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold / getting my voice back from screaming about Aaron Rodgers. So bear with me on the voice side of things. But I wanted to jump on and talk a little bit about the Jets and Packers standoff in trade negotiations for Aaron Rodgers and what a trade compensation could look like, who has leverage, and 4 specific deadlines that I think are important when talking about the Aaron Rodgers trade negotiations with the New York Jets. So first and foremost, it seems like Trey Wingo and Aaron Rodgers both feel like the trade is going to get done within the next week. They're saying it's like 90% complete or something along those lines. And I'm hoping that to be the case. That would be real simple. Let's get it over with. Let's move forward knowing what we're going to have to know. The NFL can make their schedule based on Aaron Rodgers being on the Jets instead of having to, make a schedule, maybe not assuming, maybe we don't get primetime games, things of that nature. Now, I do think they can assume this trade will eventually get done. That's kind of where I fall on this. I don't see any situation where Aaron Rodgers is not the Jets quarterback in 2023. So it's just a matter of the compensation and when this trade actually happens. So let's talk about 4 specific deadlines in the event it goes past this week-long 90% complete trade sort of situation. The first hurdle that we're going to have to clear, or the first point or deadline that we're going to hit, is the draft. This is a big one because obviously the Packers want to get a first-round pick for their Hall of Fame quarterback. I understand that. If I was trading away someone, I would want that as well. With the Jets, we're sitting back saying, well, we don't have any other people to compete with. The Raiders signed Jimmy G. There's no one else seemingly trying to get Aaron Rodgers right now. So why would we increase our offer, whatever that offer may be? Let's call it a second-round pick. Why would we offer more than a second-round pick if there's no one else here? So we get to the draft. If the Jets are thinking, oh no, we need to make a trade right now, I don't think so. I think it's going to be the Packers feeling that way if the Packers want to surround Jordan Love with one more additional piece to surround him with talent. Now you're trying to get an evaluation of Jordan Love in his 4th year. You're exercising his 5th-year option. So you're going to have him for the next 2 years. And having draft picks in future years don't necessarily help you if you think they need to develop for a year. So there's some value in getting the guys in this season. So if I'm the Packers, I might be more inclined to take a little bit less, knowing that I can get one extra player. That being said, they do have their picks, so it's not like, one extra player may not necessarily break the bank for them. They may not be that pressed for it. So once you get past that deadline, if I'm the Jets, I'm fine with that. I'm using all my draft picks to surround who I still think is going to be Aaron Rodgers at the start of the season. So now we're using all our picks in 2023. The next deadline we're going to hit is that June 1st deadline. And this is where you can start to split salary cap over multiple seasons. Once you get past the June 1st deadline, you get a portion of salary cap hit in 2023 and another portion in 2024. So it's very favorable for teams to do that. It would benefit the Packers greatly by getting to that June 1st deadline and saving a little more salary cap space for them in a trade. For the Jets, that's kind of fine too. At this point, I'm sort of sitting back and saying, all right, well, I just want to make sure we get him in here before training camp. We don't want him to miss offseason activities. I don't think there's anything against Aaron Rodgers hosting the Jets wide receivers at some non-team-based camp or anything like that. So the players could get together on their own if that's what they decide to do. I would like to see that. But that June 1st deadline makes it a little more attractive. Maybe the Packers don't want the draft pick this year, and they're okay waiting, and maybe they think they can get a first-round pick out of the Jets come that June 1st deadline and make it a little bit easier. Or maybe they're already fine with the compensation that's being offered right now, assuming it's not a first-round pick, but they're just fine with that compensation being after June 1st because now they're not maybe eating salary cap or something along those lines. Or maybe they're more inclined to eat a portion of that $60 million signing bonus that we've been talking about that Aaron Rodgers is going to have. That would help the Jets on the back end. So maybe the Jets are more inclined to give up a better pick if the Packers would eat salary at that point. So that's interesting. That's another deadline. 2 deadlines. Draft, June 1st. The next deadline, we're talking training camp. Because at this point, this is where I'm a Jet fan and I'm starting to sweat. I'm like, okay, look, we want to go all in for a ring in these 2 years that Rodgers basically has left on his contract. Me not getting him in for the start of training camp would be a really big issue because why would I want to trade anything of value if I feel like the chance of a Super Bowl this season might have been compromised by having less communication with our coaches and players and staff and whatnot. So the eve of training camp, I think, is when the Jets are most likely to offer the most amount of picks going into this trade. And I think there's an off chance of that possibly being, maybe it's a conditional first in 2024 then at that point. I don't know if it's the first round pick, because I think you'd still want to tie that to the production that he has that season. And getting a first round pick for Aaron Rodgers, let's say if we get to the AFC Championship game. So that pick's going to be 29? Yeah, 29 or lower. And I'm kind of okay with that. And if the Packers really want the 5-year contract, maybe that's an option that they look at. Now, the final deadline, like let's say there's still a gridlock because the Jets are saying, look, we know you're going to have to trade him. We had horrible quarterback play last year. And you know what? We think even Aaron Rodgers on a week's notice is going to be better than whatever we got from all our guys last year because he's coming in with a system he knows, with players he knows, assuming you wind up getting Randall Cobb as well. You're going to have, who cares about the beginning portion of the season where you have to get things kind of learning and clicking anyway? I can rely on the older players on our team and then kind of build the chemistry with Wilson and Moore and those younger players maybe as the season progresses. That's not how I want this to go. I don't think I want it to go that far. But there's, maybe the Packers are dead set on getting what they want to get, and they're fine with holding on to Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be really awkward, but maybe they hold on to him that long. So there's that side of things. Like, how much do you wait? And at that point, do you say, like, okay, now we just got to get anything for Aaron Rodgers? That's when you might get him the cheapest if you wait that long, because now the Packers are either going to be on the hook for a bunch of dead cap, or they're going to have to exercise that option to keep him on the roster beyond week 1. So all that aside, I think there's some really easy ways, maybe not easy. Easy might be the bad way to say this, but I think there's another situation that the Jets could explore if they felt they could give up a first round pick this year. And I'm not saying give up number 13, but there was a situation back in 2006, I think, when Mangold was drafted. Where we were trading Jonathan Abraham. You're trading John Abraham for a first-round pick from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons had a much earlier first-round pick they did not want to give up. What the Falcons ended up doing was trading down in the draft to get a later first-round pick, which I believe was pick 27, 8, 9, somewhere tail end of the first round, whatever it was. And then they traded that pick to the Jets for John Abraham, and we wound up selecting Nick Mangold in that draft. So is there a situation where the Jets decide to move back from pick 13, slide back, maybe pick up an extra second and a third, something along those lines, and then they're okay giving up the first-round pick to the Packers if it's pick 30? Now, I still question why the Jets would want to do that, because I think we don't have anything to lose for waiting a little bit. Like, I'm not as concerned about getting Aaron Rodgers because it's kind of Aaron Rodgers or bust. And like, he's not going to get traded anywhere else. It's just going to be, are we going to offer a little bit more later on? I don't know. It's interesting. So leverage wise, I think it shifts throughout the year. I think the Packers are at a disadvantage to start. And then as the summer goes on, I would say it is shifting towards their direction at that point. And who knows, that would make a great story for Hard Knocks, which I think the Jets are totally going to get. I think there's just so much, the Hall of Fame stuff, offensive, defensive rookie of the year. You might have comeback player of the year next year. Like, Jets are a very interesting team. So could the NFL be saying, wait, whoa, maybe don't execute a trade right away? Because it would be beneficial for us during the dead periods of our summer, May, June, July, to have this story looming over our heads. We know this trade's eventually going to get done. Jets, you get to surround this money quarterback in Aaron Rodgers with all the talent you can in a draft this year. Helps the Packers in the long term with the cap, and it creates some bonus footage for Hard Knocks and interest in the NFL in the offseason. If I could write a script, it's probably the one pushing it closer to training camp, but I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you think the trade gets done next week? Do you think it gets done at one of these deadlines? Do you think the compensation is going to be for that first round pick? Do you think it's going to be for more than that? Do you think it's going to be for less than that? Let me know in the comments section down below. And as always, go Jets.